day, everyone! Voting in another set of heats has concluded, and we have qualifiers yet again. Today, you will find out which they are.
We sadly still had somewhat low turnout, so please consider voting in the next heats if you haven't in these two. Speaking of which, they open right after these results, so you don't need to wait long. But let's not concern ourselves with that for now, and instead take a look at the qualifiers first.
Exactly. We had 18 songs competing in the first heat we take a look at today, which is Heat 5. Let us therefore begin by taking a look at our first trio of the day, which is Jamaica, Georgia, and Palau. Two countries that reached the final on their debut, as well as Jamaica, which has yet to reach even the semifinals. Will this be the edition they finally do it? Or can one of the other two aim at that first by at least reaching the quarterfinals? The first country that can cheer today is Jamaica.
The Angels are probably crying in joy seeing this song make it. We can for sure congratulate it for that. May it help them get closer to that first semi-final. Now, let's see who qualifies next when we look at Wallace and Futuna, Mexico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So far, the U.S. Virgin Islands never failed in the preliminaries, while the other two haven't always been that lucky. Will it remain this way? Let's see when we reveal that the second qualifier is Mexico.
This qualification might be the result of pure insanity. Who knows? Either way, it gets Mexico to another quarterfinal, something they seem to pull off every 2 editions so far. A strange trend for sure, but that's what it is. Oh well, let's now look at Bulgaria, Denmark, and Taiwan. Who will be the third country going through here? Bulgaria and Denmark have both been in multiple finals already, while Taiwan has been waiting since the first ever edition to get there, only to always fail before. Will they make the first step to finally doing it this edition now? The third qualifier from this 5th heat is Denmark.
On their 6th participation, Denmark yet again proves they can never fail in the first round they're in. We don't know yet if they can repeat their miraculous run to the final from last edition yet again, but this odd constant applies for sure. Well, another country making it today is either the Isle of Man, Afghanistan, or Greece. The first ever winning country against 2 countries that have never reached the final before, though Greece came somewhat close twice when they reached the semifinals. Will they do so again this edition, though? Perhaps we find out when we reveal that the 4th country going through here is Afghanistan.
Heartworms couldn't pull it off for Biot, but for Afghanistan, she gets to the quarterfinals at last, giving the country its best result of all time already. Congratulations for that. Who knows, will we get another first-time quarterfinalist next as well? I can say already that we won't, as the next trio is Puerto Rico, Georgia, and Spain. Both Spain and Georgia were finalists on their debuts, but haven't gotten back there since. Will this be the time they do it? Or does Puerto Rico get its redemption now after last edition's unfortunate fall from grace? The fifth qualifier, which advances from this heat, is Puerto Rico.
We still have no idea how this country ended up with a song about literal shit as their entry last time, but they thankfully never have to think about that again, or at least won't have to do so now, as they go back to the quarterfinals in indeed a bit of a redemption. Soon enough, we will know if they can achieve even more, but let's first look at Taiwan, the US Virgin Islands, and Akrotiri and Dhekelia for our next qualifier. Oddly enough, neither Taiwan nor the US Virgin Islands have ever failed in the preliminaries. Both had mixed records in later rounds, but failing here would be a first. The same can't quite be said about Akrotiri and Dhekelia, which only reached the quarterfinals on their debut while struggling every edition since, even when they had supposed fan favorite Bambi Baker representing them. Can they break the curse at last, or will one of the other two keep their streak? The sixth country that has qualified from this heat and will perform again in the quarterfinals is Taiwan.
What am I fighting for? What am I fighting for? Now it's a straight law.
Who knows if he found out by now what he's fighting for, but he fought so convincingly it brought his country to the quarterfinals yet again. However, this only leaves a single spot for the remaining countries. Who has taken it? Who will flop now? So little space in the quarterfinals. But the one to do it and become qualifier number 7 is the Philippines.
Weirdly enough, the only time the Philippines failed in the preliminaries was when they had a song called Crowd Pleaser, which must have been one of the worst aging titles they've ever selected in retrospect. Oh, well, they didn't fail this time yet again, so that's something they don't have to think about anymore.
Who does have to think about their missed chances, though, are the countries that missed out here, with many of them not being all that far off themselves. Still, it wasn't quite enough, so they have to leave us for this edition already.
We still have 7 spots to give to the 18 songs in the 6th heat, though, so let us go over there and see who is qualified. Same procedure here, so let us jump right in. We begin by taking a look at the trio consisting of Egypt, Argentine Antarctica, and the Falkland Islands. 2 territories that Argentina would either really like to own, or at least like to own while recognized by other countries, as well as Egypt, a country that has only reached its first quarterfinal last edition, but couldn't really go much further. Who of these 3 has made it? The first qualifier from this 6th heat is Argentine Antarctica.
Y cruzaré través de los caminos paralelos, caminos paralelos. Cruzaré través de...
Already the second Antarctic territory qualifying this edition. What an achievement for this continent. Also, massive congratulations to Argentine Antarctica for returning this edition, only to directly get their first qualification for a quarterfinal. Let's see who we can congratulate next when looking at Myanmar, Armenia, and Bermuda. Bermuda is the only one of these to not only go to the final, but also the only one to even reach the semifinals so far. We sure all remember Myanmar's shocking flop in the quarterfinals last time, and Armenia is on a depressing downwards trend ever since their debut that somehow saw them get a worse result than the previous edition every single time so far. Can they finally break this concerning trend, or will it only continue? Qualifier number 2. Going through here is Myanmar.
For the second edition in a row, Myanmar qualifies for the quarterfinals. Who would have thought that such an obscure country had this much potential in this contest? Either way, congratulations to you, and may you finally reach the semifinals this time. Let's see who else we can wish that for when looking at the United States, Svalbard, and Lithuania next. The United States are yet another country to never fail in the preliminaries so far, while Svalbard and Lithuania couldn't always pull it off. However, Lithuania seems to be on an upward trend ever since they don't try to be shit every edition anymore, and Svalbard is back with fresh energy after missing out last edition. Did that pay off for them? Qualifier number 3 is Svalbard.
It paid off indeed, as it seems, with Svalbard going to yet another quarterfinal. They haven't qualified from one since their debut, and in fact, never qualified more than once per edition. But there can be a first time for everything, so let's hope for them that will be this time. Now let's see who else made it when looking at Israel, Austria, and the Falkland Islands. I'm sure Fontaine's DC will be extremely pleased being in the same split screen as Israel, but in case they for some reason aren't, Austria is here to separate the two for the time being. Either way, has one of the two made it, or is it Austria that can celebrate now? Let's see by revealing that the fourth country that has advanced here is Austria.
Traitors make a man. Hold your breath and pull the trigger. Make it hard.
I'm sure the quarterfinals are a much better place for this group to go than Hellfire. For sure a qualification that will make them and many others happy. Congratulations for that. Well, let's now see who else to congratulate, looking at Fiji, Niger, and St. Martin. Two countries that only debuted last edition but didn't have much luck then. Can they be more lucky this time? Or is it Priya that goes through for a second time already after debuting their territory 2 editions ago? We can reveal that the 5th qualifier from this heat is St. Martin.
As mismatched and contradictory as this song may be, it didn't confuse our viewers too much, as they voted for it regardless. For sure, a great achievement for them. And just like that, only one trio is coming up before we reveal the last qualifier. That trio is Egypt, Lithuania, and the United States. All three have been in such a split screen before already today, but one of them is out for certain, as just 2 spots remain in total. Which one is that though? Will we potentially see a supposed favorite fail? Let's see who isn't the unlucky one by confirming that the 6th qualifier is the United States.
They never failed at this stage before, and they won't do so this time as well. Congratulations to the United States. They are probably glad to have made it, even if their president tends to claim that they are getting tired of winning because of how much they supposedly do that. Either way, this only leaves 1 spot remaining. Who has taken that one though? Some favorites remain, just one can triumph. Let us tell you that said country, which will return in the quarterfinals, and is the last qualifier of today, is it's Lithuania.
This proves the times in which you could rule out Lithuania are over for good. 3 editions in a row, they qualified from the preliminaries, once they even made it to the final already. Perhaps this time can be number 2? Congratulations either way.
Sadly, we once again have to say goodbye to the other songs, with some of them not being far off. Regardless, they couldn't make it, and will for sure be missed.
Let's not be too sad though, and look at the future. Let us see where these qualifiers compete next.
As in previous heats, 1 or 2 songs from each heat will share a quarter-final, with the allocation being conducted through a random draw. Lithuania and Myanmar haven't been assigned to any quarter-final yet, as that will happen at the end of the preliminaries.
And with that, we are done. You, however, have more ahead of yourself, as Heat 7 and 8 will open any moment now. Leomil and Fakile will take over for that. As for us, I'm back in the 11th heat, while Teiko is back earlier, already in the 9th one. See you there.